everyone, welcome to Cooking with Carlson. Today we're going to be making hot cross buns.
Good intro. Alright, so this is a traditional holiday recipe, specifically Easter recipe.
Yes.
We're going to be making hot cross buns. So this is kind of a different take on cinnamon rolls. A lot of the same ingredients, but pretty delicious. So you are going to need quite a list of ingredients for this, but you don't need all of the ingredients at once. For step one, all you're going to need are 2 cups of milk, a half of a cup of canola oil, half of a cup of sugar,
I call it sugar,
a tablespoon of yeast, and 4 cups of flour to start. So that's all we're going to work with right now. Those are the things that we need to add before going into the cinnamon roll part. Alright, so what you're going to do first,
I want the egg.
alright, is measure 2 cups of milk in a microwavable bowl.
Microwave.
Yep, I usually just put it in my big measuring cup.
That reminds me of people
Then,
their baby's milk. Yeah.
then we need a half of a cup of canola oil. If you only have vegetable oil, that will be fine. Okay, we'll dump that right into the milk. And a half of a cup of sugar. We're going to put that right in the milk and oil mixture as well. Okay, so we're just going to stir this up a little bit. And then I'm going to put this in the microwave for about 2 minutes. We're going to warm up our milk mixture a little bit because we'll be adding the yeast to this. And we need a warm environment for the yeast to become active. Okay, so 2 minutes in the microwave. Okay, after your milk has heated up for about 2 minutes.
I'm looking away.
Why?
It looks disgusting.
Okay, I'm going to stir it just a little bit. And then we're going to add a tablespoon of yeast. Okay. This will also help our sugar dissolve completely. And the sugar will be used as the proofing agent in here, so this will get nice and foamy. Alright, we're going to add our tablespoon of yeast to this mixture and just stir that up. Okay, so this is going to sit just for a little bit while we measure out our flour into our stand mixer. Alright, so we need 4 cups of flour in here. Fluff your flour out a little bit before you add it in. Remember, I just pull that in my measuring cup and scoop it out a little bit just to fluff it up. I don't use a sifter. No time for that. There's 3 cups. And the last cup. There we go. Okay, after waiting just a couple of minutes for your yeast to mix in with the milk, sugar, and oil mixture, we're going to dump it into our 4 cups of flour. And then just stir that with a wooden spoon. For this first step, a wooden spoon is all that you need. You could do this without a mixer as well, the whole recipe. But for the first step, for sure, just your wooden spoon will suffice. Alright, so what we're going to do next is let this sit for about an hour. This is a really wet dough. I don't know if you can see this or not, but it is very wet. We're just going to cover this and let it rise for about an hour. Alright, so after your dough has had about an hour to rise, you'll see when you pull it out, it has expanded. It's gotten a little bubbly. The yeast has come alive.
This felt like more than an hour.
Oh, you think so? Alright, so now what we're going to do is add a few more ingredients to our dough. We're going to add about another 1/2 to 3/4 of a cup of flour to this. So I'm just going to kind of guesstimate that. 1/2 to 3/4. And then you're going to add 1/2 of a teaspoon of baking soda, 1/2 of a teaspoon of baking powder, both of those. 1/2 of a teaspoon of each. So here's our soda, our baking powder, and you need 2 teaspoons of salt as well.
I want salt.
You want to add the salt?
I also want to add the egg in.
We're actually not adding any egg into this.
What are we adding?
Nothing else at this point. Okay, so now what we're going to do is fold these ingredients. The egg white comes later. We're going to fold fold these ingredients into our dough. Actually decided to do this without the mixer. Alright, so now what we're going to do is put this out onto a floured surface. And then we're going to put the goodness inside. A lot of people put raisins inside their hot cross buns, but no one here likes raisins. So
I like raisins.
probably not in your cinnamon rolls.
No, not cinnamon rolls though.
So we are going to skip that step. But you certainly could add raisins to this if your family likes raisins. Alright, so we are going to flour our surface area here so our dough doesn't stick to it. Spread it out a little bit. Then you're just going to dump this onto the table. You may need to put some flour on your hands if it's too sticky. Okay, put some flour on top of the dough and around. And you're just going to spread this out with your hands, actually. Maybe sprinkle a little more on there. Okay. Just going to spread this dough out. And then I'm going to put a little bit of softened butter in this so that it tastes a little bit more like cinnamon rolls. A lot of the original recipes don't call for butter on this, but I say why not. So I'm going to take some of our softened butter here and just put a little bit on top. Once you have your dough flattened out, you're going to add about 1/4 cup of sugar to a bowl, along with a teaspoon and a half of cinnamon. Okay, so we're just going to add a teaspoon and a half of cinnamon to our sugar. And we'll stir that up. And then this is what's going to get sprinkled on top of our dough. And all we're doing is creating layers here now, so that the cinnamon and sugar kind of mixes throughout the dough when you roll it up. So we'll add about 1/3 or so of the cinnamon and sugar to the top of our dough, just adding a layer. Alright, that's pretty good. Then you're going to fold this in half. So some of this might be a little bit sticky, but you'll just kind of work it through. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just fold this in half. I guess I should put more flour in the bottom. But again, this does not have to be perfect in any way, shape, or form. You're going to fold this a few times. We'll flatten this back out. So if it's too sticky, like mine's a little sticky right now, just put a little bit more flour on top. But this does not have to be folded perfectly at all. And I'm going to add a little more flour to this. Press it down again. And then we're going to do the same thing, layer by layer. I'm going to put some more flour down here. Okay, so if you want to put some butter on, you can. If not, all you're going to do is sprinkle cinnamon and sugar on top of this. We're going to fold this 3 or 4 times. If you want to fold it this way, you can do that as well. Just folding your dough up and then pressing it down. We're just creating layers of cinnamon and sugar in here. That's all we're doing. More flour. More cinnamon and sugar. And we'll do all of it, and we'll just fold it one more time. Okay, and then we will fold one more time, pick up, pull over, and then press down. Okay, so what I'm going to do next, I'm going to wash my hands up, and then show you how to roll these out into balls. I just washed my hands, got out my pan. I'm going to grease a baking sheet with cooking spray. You could grease this with butter too, but cooking spray is easier. I'm going to get some flour out, because I'm going to need that. You noticed this dough is pretty sticky. That's okay. It's going to turn out perfectly. Okay, so now what you're going to do, we're going to turn this into about 16 to 18 different hot cross buns. So sometimes I like to divide this in half. I'm not very good at making the same size things. So I know that this half and this half are going to be made into 8 or 9 of the hot cross buns. If we want to make it even, we'll just do it into 8. So I divide each half, divide them into halves again, but it does get sticky. So the less you mess with the dough, the better. But I like to make sure they're semi-close to the same. All right, so put some flour in your hands, and you're just going to kind of roll these over, just so they're nice and smooth on top, smooth as you can get them. Okay, and then you flop them on your baking sheet. Put some more flour on your hands if you need to. Roll another one. It is a little sticky. I like to roll it kind of in the palms of my hand. That helps to keep them less sticky with my fingertips. Okay. All right, so we'll come back here after I have all of these rolled out. Okay, so after your rolls are all done up, I did have to make one roll to hold 4, but I wasn't about to get another pan out for one roll. So this is kind of what it's going to look like on the grease pan. All you're going to do is cover this with your clean towel, and then let this rise for about 30 minutes. Okay, so we'll come back here after these have had a chance to rise. Okay, so our rolls have had the chance to rise for about, probably closer to 45 minutes, because I had some other things going on. You could let these rise 30 minutes to an hour, whatever you have time for. They have gotten pretty big, so I think they are ready to go. An egg wash mixture onto that. So you're going to have to separate your egg then. You don't want any yolk in this. So you crack it, pull it apart, try to pull it apart in 2 pieces if you can. And you're going to have your yolk in one part of the shell. You'll transfer the yolk to the other part of the shell. Notice how the egg whites are just coming, kind of hanging down. When you transfer back and forth, the egg yolk will stay in the shell, and the egg white will fall into your cup. Okay, so I'm just going to put that into a bowl, and then I'm going to add a splash of milk to this. This is going to help brown it up a little bit, just a tiny little splash. Okay, and then I am going to grab a fork and whisk this up just a little bit. Okay, this is going to be our egg wash that we're going to put on our rolls before we bake them. So you're just going to spread this wash over the top of your rolls. Again, this is going to finish this up, and then put these into the 400-degree oven and let it bake for 15 minutes. Okay, so after 16 minutes or so, our buns are ready to come out of the oven. They are a nice golden brown. You can transfer these to a cooling rack right now, and they can sit out while you make your glaze for these. Okay, so after you've transferred these to a cooling rack, you're going to use another egg wash. So you're going to just put some egg white into your mixing bowl. We'll set that aside. There's really some water in there. And then you're going to add 1 cup of powdered sugar to that. About a cup. You might have to add a little bit more depending on the consistency you want. But we're going to put about a cup of powdered sugar to that. And then I'm going to use my hand mixer to mix those 2 together. This is to make the cross on the top of your buns. Okay, now I'm going to add just a splash of milk to this. A tablespoon, a tablespoon and a half or so. All I use is a Ziploc baggie. I dump the glaze into the Ziploc baggie, and then you cut a corner out of the baggie, and then you'll just put your crosses on top of the buns when these have cooled a little bit longer. But that's all there is to hot cross buns. It does take some time, but they are worth it.